The way this played out for us, being on the air as the audio got out on social media, Matt LaFleur answered a question from you about the status of Jordan Love at practice today. And yes, of course, on the bingo card today, limited was going to be said. Now, here's the audio, and then we will get to our question.
Okay.
Was Jordan able to throw it all out?
Yeah, he was limited. Yeah, on a limited basis.
Without looking at Matt LaFleur, Kyle about had an aneurysm, said pack up the season. Now, once you watch the video, you see a smirk. And Brad, tell him, are you a Seinfeld fan, Rob?
Oh, huge. Yeah.
Yes, you'll remember the episode where they talk about like the degree of lying, where the higher you go on your face, as like you touch it, reflects the greater the lie. So like a chin is a small lie, and if you're doing the forehead. So do you think this is him just playing coy and being a little deceptive up there, pulling the hat down, smirking a little bit?
100%. I mean, we had an interesting exchange with Jordan after that I'm sure you get the audio of a lot of one-word answers. But like he wouldn't like. Did you cut it loose today? I don't really know what that means. Like, well, of course you know what it means, cutting it loose. Did you let it rip? You know, it's a bunch of coyness. I mean, the bottom line is Jordan Love's going to play. He probably does still have some soreness, but not in his hand. He said it was the elbow. That he has a little soreness in his elbow, but he didn't wear any protective pad today. You know, maybe they didn't throw the go routes today, although without Christian Watson here, do they have anybody that can run that route and be successful at it anyway?
Malik Heath.
Malik Heath's got 4.34 speed. That people forget. He was definitely fast when he tested coming out of college. But, yeah, he's going to play. My guess is that as the week goes on, the soreness becomes less and less. Malik Willis said today he still feels his hand throbbing a little bit from when he hit the guy's helmet on that pass to Malik Heath right before the 2-point conversion. So they got both their quarterbacks on the injury report, but I would be surprised if their injuries impacted the game in any way.
So what's the purpose of LaFleur and Love being so coy?
Yeah, I mean, because they can. You know, I hope I can say this on the air. Why does a dog lick himself in
you
that
can say
area?
that. I always ask myself, why is my dog doing that?
But they're trying to clean themselves.
Because he can. He's able to. You'd do it if you could too.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow, Rob.
I plead the fifth.
I just think there's no competitive advantage, and I don't think they're trying to get one. I have no idea why they're doing it. But, Rob, I do want to go back to Sunday's game. Do you think the Packers can turn their loss against the Chicago Bears into a net positive? Because based off kind of the temperament of the locker room, Matt LaFleur, after taking accountability, self-reflection, do you think the Packers can turn this negative back-to-back losses into a net positive going into the playoffs?
I do, Kyle, and here's why. Because after the game, they didn't just say, that didn't mean anything, right? Like, nobody said that. They all said we had to have some hard talks, we had to look ourselves in the mirror, and we had to realize that you don't get these opportunities. Nothing's for granted. Jordan Love told us today that his message to the team was, we are only guaranteed 5 more days of football. We are only guaranteed 5 more days of doing this. So you better take advantage of it. I think I'd be more concerned, and I would say that it would be a bad thing if they just laughed it off and said, that game didn't matter. We weren't really doing this or that. So I do think it can be turned into a net positive.
Do you think, is your confidence in this team a little bit more after seeing that? Because, I mean, obviously the way they ended the season, not great, but do you have a little bit more confidence they can pull off the upset Sunday based off the mentality?
Well, yeah, I do. I also, look, we're talking about Jordan Love here. I mean, Jalen Hurts has thrown 4 passes since the beginning of, or the couple of weeks into December. I mean, Jalen Hurts has not played, he's not exactly going to be super sharp.
Jordan Love hasn't exactly played well the last 2 games he's played.
Let the man talk.
Yeah, no, I think I'm not saying this is like that year that the Vikings, duped everybody into thinking Christian Watson was going to play in the playoff game, and they started Joe Webb, and it was the Packers just, destroyed him here. But I'm still not convinced that Jalen Hurts is, A, I don't even know if he's out of the concussion protocol, and B, how effective he's going to be. So I definitely I'll say this. Going to Dallas last year, I didn't think these guys had much of a chance of winning, and obviously I was wrong. I do obviously think they're the underdog this time, but I don't think it's inconceivable that they could go out and play a really good game and win this game there. I mean, it's not out of the question.
So Rob Demovsky joining us here on Kyle Brust and Ortman. Rob covers the Packers for ESPN. There was a lot of crickets as we asked this question. What position group do the Packers have the advantage in versus the Eagles?
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard one. Coaching, maybe? I don't know. I do think that there's a ton of pressure on Nick Sirianni and that staff after, sort of fading last year. And now obviously they came back and had a great regular season. But to me, and I don't know if it's necessarily an advantage, but, there's a ton of pressure on Nick Sirianni. And I mean, they need a deep playoff run. Not that he's going to get fired. I wouldn't think he would. But remember all the talk about them last year?
Oh, it's a disaster.
Collapse. So I don't know. I mean, here, look, I mean,
it's not the D-line, and then for the O-line, they're going to have to go against the Eagles' D-line.
Yeah.
The linebackers are better. The wide receivers are outright better. The tight ends are maybe a push. Saquon's the best back in the league, and Hurts and Love are kind of unknowns right now in terms of the consistency.
I wonder what the Love and Hurts one.
I don't know. That's a fair assessment. I mean, but the best team, the most talented team doesn't always win. So I think you're probably right. That's why they're an underdog. I honestly thought they'd be a bigger underdog than when the last point spread I saw was what? It was
4.5.
4.5. Yeah. I mean, that's I can't tell you that they have an advantage at any matchup position.
Rob, what's the tenor like in the wide receiver room? Because from an outside perspective, it looked like Christian Watson was sort of becoming the leader. He was vocal during the Romeo Doubs thing, coming on late as Jaden Reed was receding. Yeah. Has it been a big blow to that room, even just from a morale basis, with Christian Watson having a torn ACL and now out for the year? Obviously impactful on the field, but even just amongst the guys, which seemed like a pretty tight unit.
Yeah. Look, I mean, Romeo Doubs doesn't say two words, so it's hard to know what he's feeling. I can tell you that, we talked to both Bo Melton and Malik Heath today, and obviously those guys aren't happy, that Christian Watson got hurt, but those are two guys that believe they're really good players and have made plays in the past. And I think they're looking forward to showing everybody, with no disrespect to Christian, that they can make plays in this league. I mean, the catch Malik Heath made from Malik Willis and that third and long situation was
high point.
As good a catch as you're going to see, right? I mean, it's hard to say, Brad, that there's an emotional or a veteran leader in that room, because there aren't any experienced guys. I mean, Watson and Doubs are in their third year, which is the most experience they have, but I'm not sure that it's that type of room, right? It's not like there's Donald Driver sitting there mentoring these guys and then Donald Driver just disappears. So I don't know that it necessarily has that off the field effect as much as it does on the field.
All right, Rob, real quick, the Packers win because what on Sunday?
Because they do the things that they've done well, even better than they've done it, and that's taking the ball away. That's controlling time of possession with Josh Jacobs, and then not turn it over themselves. They're going to have to do all three of those things, but we've seen them do that. I mean, this team got 31 takeaways in the regular season for a reason. Josh Jacobs went over 1,300 yards for a reason. Jordan Love hasn't turned it over in the last 6 games. So they have to do all those things probably to win, but they've shown that they can do them at times.
Well, Rob, we appreciate the insight. We'll look forward to talking to you next week, and we'll be listening to you across ESPN Wisconsin.
All right, sounds good, guys. We'll be seeing you.